Right then everyone, welcome back to the Ford Galaxy Mk4 project. This is episode 3 and fingers crossed today we might get it running. In the first episode, obviously I had a brief look around the car and we started diagnosing what the problem could be. In the second episode, it was a bit of a talk episode and we had the car stripped down and I explained what the situation was. And in today's episode, well, fingers crossed we'll get it running like I said. We have all of the new parts that we believe we need. Some of them have already been fitted. Obviously, I've already shown you how they come off. So fitment is the reversal of that. So I didn't think there'd be much point recording it. I thought we'd make a bit of a video more so about actually getting it running than messing around, spending a lot of time putting it together. Because you've already seen how it comes apart and stuff like that. So I'm going to take you outside now. We'll see what's gone on between the last episode and I'll show you where we're up to and what the situation is. So then, obviously, as you know, it's a non-runner, or it was, and we pulled it apart, found the fuel pump at fault, and it killed a couple of the injectors. So I just put the engine cover on top because found a little bit of a flaw with the situation we had. The water off the windscreen was running straight down into the injector ports and filled the bores with water, so we've had to spin it over to blow all the water out the bores. So the new fuel pump's on, down there. Everything's sort of reassembled minus the injectors. We've got a new battery. And we have 2 new injectors because if you remember, cylinder 1 and cylinder 3, unplugging the injectors made no difference. Cylinder 2 and cylinder 4 caused the car to cut out. So we know that cylinder 2 and 4 were running and were making the engine run, and cylinder 1 and 3 were doing nothing. So we've now got 2 new injectors to stick in to cylinder 1 and 3, and hopefully this will solve the problem. Obviously once these are in, we are going to have to code them into the ECU, but we'll run through all that. It should tick over and run relatively okay without having the injectors coded, but it'll probably have a little bit of a diesel knock and it won't quite run 100%. It might tick over a little bit lumpy and it might not have full power, and that's what the coding does. It's a fuel quantity adjustment figure. It's a number you read off the side of the injector and you code that into the ECU. So the idea of coding that number into the ECU is the ECU's got a set amount of parameters that the injectors correspond with. So when we fit these injectors, obviously it will be running off the old and it won't be tailored to these ones. And that's not a problem, as I say. It will probably still start, it will tick over and it'll probably run fine. It might be a little bit lumpy, might have a little bit of diesel knock, but that's, as I say, sorted quite simply just by coding it in with the diagnostic tool. So nice and simple to sort. But first off, let's get them into there and get the last few bits finished off. So fuel filter housing's all together. The common rails are sort of bolted on in place. The fuel pump's all done. So today what we've got left to do is finish bolting up the common rail, connect all the injectors, tying up the last few bolts, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, she might run. Now normally, conventionally on a diesel, what you'd have to do is after you've had the fuel system apart, you'd have to bleed the system. And you'd do that by having like a primer bulb that you would squeeze and pull the air out of the system, because diesels generally don't have a lift pump in the fuel tank like a petrol does. However, these modern Euro 6 Galaxies or Fords, they do. So it's self-bleeding, which is great because diesels normally don't have that in-tank pump. These modern ones do. So we don't have to mess around bleeding the system because it's self-bleeding. All we have to do is flick the ignition a few times, let it fill the system with fuel, and then crank it over. It might crank over a little bit, and then eventually it will fire into life. So we'll see how that works, because I'm used to diesels where we have to bleed them up. I'm interested to see how this self-bleeding one, how easy this self-bleeding one actually self-bleeds. So yeah, let's crack on with that. Just thought I'd briefly mention, when you're putting these injectors in, you got to make sure these little plastic caps, sometimes they stay inside the cylinder head like that one. Sometimes they come out like that one and stick on the injectors. So just need to make sure you got all 4 of these, and they are inside of there. They literally just sit in like that, and then your injectors just drop in like that. Now I need to work out which one of these is which, because these two with the pipe on are the good original ones. These two without pipes, that one without pipe, that's the good new one, because it's got the yellow writing on it. That one's the dead one. The other dead one is in the back of this car over here. There. So these two are the dead ones with nothing on them. So I'll put them to the side. These two with the pipes on are the good original ones. And these two with the yellow writing on, one of which I've just dropped into place, are the new ones. Now, what I'm doing is putting these two new ones in place are the two dead ones. Just like that. Doesn't matter which one goes where because we've got to code them in. And then for the two that were working, the reason why I've left the pipes on is so we can make sure that they do go back in the right place. Which saves us having to recode these ones, so that we only need to code injector 1 and 3. We haven't got to code all 4, which will save us a little bit of time. And also, there's no point recoding them if they're going back in. It's easier just to make sure they go back in the same place than have to mess around recoding them. Also, thing to note, technically speaking, we should replace the copper washers on the bottom. So make sure they are replaced when you do this, and make sure they are fitted. So to remove these, literally just grab them with some pliers around there, wiggle them off, and they'll come off. So, now I've got these two new injectors in place. Let me just work out which one of these two goes into 2, and which one of these two goes into number 4, and then we'll get it all connected all up. Now we can tell that, as I say, I've left the pipes on, so that they only fit to the right place. Obviously the two dead ones, the pipes are there, it doesn't matter because we're replacing them, they'll get coded in. So it doesn't matter which one goes where. The pipes will only fit in one place. Hence why, as I say, I left the pipes on these so we know which one goes where. You get the idea, you know what I mean? So, let's get these last few in, and then I'll come back. 1, 2, 3, and number 4 is all connected up. So you know what this means? As you can see, just to show you, into the common rail, and number 2 and number 3, for some reason they cross over and go into opposite ports on the common rail. I noticed that when we pulled it apart. So just bear that in mind. If you get confused, that'll be why. Because them two cross over. So, now all I've got to do is tighten all these injector nuts up, which again is 17mm. I know that pump on was tight, but I'll just double check it. And then all 5 of these. And then I'll just tighten up the common rail. We'll put the leak off pipes in, the spill off pipes, which are up here. The clamps. So what I'll do, tighten these up first, then we'll put the clamps in, then we'll put the leak offs in, plug it in, fingers crossed it will start. And then if it starts, we'll go from the code in. It should start because obviously it's run on 2 injectors before, so it should at least run on 2 injectors this time. It should run on 4, because they're new injectors. Well, the good used ones from a breaker, they're out of a Mk4 Mondeo. Obviously, Galaxy, based on the Mondeo. But as I say, any 2 litre TDCi Euro 6, whether it be Peugeot, Citroen or Ford, all the same stuff. So yes, these are out of Mondeo, and yes, this is a Galaxy. The diesel pump actually has come off a Citroen Picasso. So yeah, this is one of the beautiful things about having an engine that's used in multiple different vehicles, is you get crossovers, which means there's a wide range of vehicles you can find parts from, which means finding parts shouldn't be too difficult, and you should be able to find them at a decent deal, like we have. So let me get them tightened up, and I'll be back. Right, time for the first start. Let's prime the system. Fuel pump's just stopped, off, on. Okay. Try again, ignition off. Pump stop, try again. Well, it's running. It's definitely running a little bit faster than it was before. A little bit rougher, but the injectors have got to be coded in. Definitely got a bit more diesel knock. See if it smooths out once to give it a chance to bleed. Right, I apologise for the screen flicker, but we're just resetting the injectors into the car now. I decided to do all four for good measure. I don't think there's actually a number you have to put in like you do on the old ones. On the old ones you have to type in a number. This appears to do it itself because going onto it, and all it does is this. Makes you wait 5 seconds, turn the ignition off, wait 45 seconds, and then it says it'll self-learn on the next drive. So presumably once this is done, that little bit of a shudder, if you notice on the engine, that'll be because the injectors aren't actually coded in yet. But you can tell it's running on all four now. So that little shudder, there you go, turn ignition on. And you tell it okay, then it'll say it's done. So now, it's still going to run a bit rough because it hasn't got the MAF sensor on it. But there we go. That should be them coded in now. Was that wheel spin? Yeah. Well, there she is. She's running. A few little bits to work out yet. Needs a good run to relearn the injectors. It's running all four. It drives under its own power and it moves. So let's finish off the last little bits now. Let's get the scuttle back together and go from there. But first, I'm interested to see how it starts now it's been sat overnight. So let's just check it does start and run pretty smoothly first time after being sat for several hours. Oh yeah, that's cool. So now, confirmed it runs. Of course it's going to, but may as well do the test. We'll pop the bonnet and put the scuttle and the wipers back together and give everything a last little check over. Now we've got the bonnet back open. As you can see, pretty much everything is reassembled. Or should I say everything engine-wise is reassembled. It's all back together exactly how it should be. The air filter is now refitted along with all of its pipe work. All that's left to do is put that scuttle panel on and the wiper arms. Obviously, we left them off for testing the car because there's no point in putting the car fully back together to find out you've got to pull it all back apart again. So, you know, always put the bare essentials together. So we open this and the scuttle is obviously these panels here, which has the screen wash jets on them as well. And then the wiper arms are here. So let's get these onto there. Right. So obviously made some good progress, but we might not be completely out of the water just yet. See, we fitted 2 injectors. We've just done all the coding and reset the ECU. Now take a look at this. So it's running slightly rough, it's getting a bit smoother. However, our injection correction factors, some of them are in the negative, which is what you'd sort of expect. That means the ECU is taking fuel out on that injector to make them even. However, injector number 1 is absolutely through the roof at 160%. Or, well, it's not percent, is it? It's nanoseconds or microseconds. So what that means is, injector 2, 3 and 4, it's actually taking fuel out to give it the right fuel delivery. But injector number 1, it's throwing a lot more fuel in because it's not providing enough fuel. And it does have a slight miss. And then it's doing that. So as you can hear, it's adjusting the correction factors for the injectors, hence why there's so much diesel knock. What this does is it basically allows the ECU to work out how much fuel the injector is part of the coding. So the coding is like an adaptation that tells the ECU how much fuel the injector gives for a certain amount of time it's open. However, this process then tells the ECU a bit further, a bit more details, a bit more in depth about the injectors, and it programs them, absolutely fine tunes them, which is why it sounds really knocky at the moment, because it's going through all the various sort of mapping settings it can do and figuring out what runs it the best. Now, according to the laptop, this can take up to half an hour. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. I mean, it is only ticking over at 1000 RPM, just over 1000 RPM, but because of the diesel knock, it makes it sound an awful lot louder. So fingers crossed it won't take too long. No smoke or anything coming out the back, and it actually smells pretty clean as well. It doesn't smell fumey. And again on the other side as well. So maybe this might fix that one that's a bit not happy, we'll see. Or we'll just have to get one more injector. There you go, you can get quieting up a bit as it changes. Really funny. This is all doing it itself. This is all off the diagnostic unit. Well, the diesel knock has cleared up. So I think it's coming towards the end of the service procedure. And it's coming back, maybe So right now it's doing a regeneration of the DPF filter in the exhaust because it's blocked, apparently, was one of the things. But it's running well. It's running nice and smooth now the injectors are all coded in. You can hear it's running well. No fault codes relating to injectors or cylinder misfires or anything like that. The only fault code we've got now is for the DPF, and it's not too badly blocked, just a little bit. So we're making it do a static regen. So that's where it's going to sit here now for 50 minutes at 2,500, revving itself away. I'm not doing nothing. It's doing it all on its own. So yeah, DPF's good for the environment. Sit your car there running for 2.5 hours, 2,500 for an hour. Because they're so bloody good, aren't they? And finally, the last piece of the puzzle to go back on, the top engine cover. So I'll just drop that on top, flip it all down. And there you go. She's back together. She's running sweet as a nut. Actually, key would help. There we go. No more engine lights on the dashboard, no more fault codes, no nothing. So I call that Mission successful.